On May 21st, Christian conservative YouTuber Steven Crowder uploaded a comical video in which he compared the character and deeds of Jesus Christ and Muhammad to raise the question of which one was superior as the model citizen of their respected religions. The conclusion of that video? Jesus is better than Muhammad. Almost a week later, Muslim YouTuber Lebo2196, otherwise known as Kamal Saleh, uploaded a more serious response video. Now, he doesn't actually make the case that Jesus is inferior or equal to Muhammad, he just makes them categorically equal right off the bat.
Jesus versus Muhammad. Peace be upon them both. Because both of them are prophets of Islam, and for that reason I will respect both, because they were the best of men to walk this earth.
But instead, he points out the misconceptions that Steven supposedly has about Islam in order to make the comparison video irrelevant. But even with that video in account, Jesus is still better than Muhammad. Not only did Kamal completely avoid any comparisons of Muhammad to Jesus, he decides to compare Muhammad to anything else except for Jesus. Now, even though the video had some interesting tidbits of curiosity, like the belief that Joseph and Mary were 90 and 12 years old when they were married, I couldn't help but wonder why he risks bringing this up to help mitigate the fact that Muhammad actually consummated a marriage with a 9-year-old girl.
You have to understand there is absolutely nothing wrong with this, because at different contexts, in different times, in different places, people mature and develop differently.
Well, maybe, except the hadith points out that the 9-year-old Aisha still had her dolls when she became a bride. And in that particular context, in that particular time, in that particular place, the fact that Aisha still had her dolls is a strong indication that she had not yet reached the age of puberty.
All I can say is that Islam is the only religion to actually prohibit the marriage of minors who have not reached the age of puberty.
Most of the time, the video plays out as less of a defense of Muhammad and more like a politically correct Democrat Party platform.
Bilal, the first black man to accept the message of Islam. He was an Ethiopian slave. He accepted the message of Islam and he was given rights at a time where there were no rights for his people. He was tortured for this.
Ah, yes. Nothing makes a cause more sympathetic than connecting it to black suffrage.
Even in USA, these people weren't even given rights until 100 years ago. Black people weren't even considered human beings.
Unless they're disbelievers, because then they are the worst of creatures. Now, at first, I was going to do something like point out how Kamal doesn't bother to clarify the other Islamic references that Steven uses.
Whereas Muhammad was not only involved in the commanding of killing certain women, committed domestic violence against his wife Aisha, said that women constituted a majority of hell, but there was actually a dame who was stoned to death as per his individual orders.
Maybe explain to Kamal how calling Jesus a mere prophet is actually a mockery of the Christian faith.
In our religion, it is prohibited, 100% prohibited, to make a mockery out of anyone else's belief.
Or point out the very obvious things, like how the number of dislikes don't discredit the content of a video.
And I could let the dislikes do the talking for me, but
However, there was one topic that I wanted clarification on, primarily when Kamal posted this.
Contrary to what you said,
War-waging Muhammad, having never been tortured or persecuted to the...
We were persecuted. The companions of Muhammad were tortured severely.
You mean Steven Crowder actually claimed that Muhammad and his followers were never persecuted? I guess it was rather small-minded of him to post something like this.
Of war-waging Muhammad, having never been tortured or persecuted to the same degree in which he said...
Whoa, wait a minute. Play that back again.
Of war-waging Muhammad, having never been tortured or persecuted to the same degree in which he said...
To the same degree? To the same degree of what? What is Steven talking about here?
I think the differences are no better exemplified than Jesus' last words, having been tortured and persecuted, yet having never retaliated on the cross, asking God to forgive them for they know not what they do. Versus the last words of war-waging Muhammad, having never been tortured or persecuted to the same degree in which he said, May Allah curse the Jews and Christians, for they built the places of worship at the graves of the prophets.
So not only did Kamal not address any of the comparison points in the video, he actually manipulated the footage to have Steven Crowder say something he didn't actually say.
Shame on you.
Thank you, Kamal. Thank you for being an excellent example of Muslim values.
Shows what values you have.
Oh, and just for the record, Jesus is still better than Muhammad. Although, personally, I don't think Steven actually went far enough. I would really like to see a video comparing Jesus to Allah, the God of the Bible versus the God of the Qur'an. Of course, if the God of Islam is anything like the Prophet of Islam, and who's to say where one ends and where the other begins, then Jesus would in fact be better. In closing, I would just like to address Kamal for a moment. Kamal, I realize that you don't like it when people criticize and quote-unquote mock Islam, but here's the thing. When Muslims like you misrepresent and basically lie about your opposition, while at the same time completely ignoring any validity in their arguments, you make mocking Islam all the more easier.
I apologize that women had to witness this today, but in our land, our women have to see the same. You people will never be safe. Remove your governments, they don't care about you.
And everyone else that had to watch this video, I'm sorry we had to go through this. But we really have to show the world who Muhammad, peace be upon him, really was. He was nothing like what they say.
So incredibly easier. So either reconsider Jesus as the Son of God, or at least get your Islamic act together. Please. Don't forget to like or dislike this video, add to your favorites or share it if you really liked it, leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to see future videos. Until then, take care and Godspeed.